Boker Tov,
Boker Tov.
Erev Tov. Here we are again. I want you to know, Tzvi, if you look behind me, you'll see a a post-it on a treadmill that I have in this room over here, and it
I
has.
don't. I, do you use the treadmill?
I don't use a treadmill. This is in
Why
this.
not?
I
You
should. I
have you have
should.
you have your personal gun soccer over there.
That's absolutely. No one could replace Gun Soccer. But anyway, on it has the
Where?
number
I
19.
don't see it. I
I
don't see
know.
it though.
I told the Rebbitzin, one of our technical producers here, I told him we have to get a bigger paper. But anyway,
Now that's
19. There's still 19 days.
19 till they joined the Nate's Minion, which is a Lebedik a day. You know why it's a Lebedik a day? You know why? It's Labor Day.
Of us.
It's Labor Day. Labor
Labor
Day.
Day.
Lebedik a day. Labor Day.
A Labor
September,
Day day. I
September
thought
9th.
it's a yom. That's a Yom Avodah.
Malacha, Malacha. Anyway, so well, Malachim. Anyway, I just found out, you won't believe this. You have traditionally you have two grandparents, and I've always known two sets of grandparents, and I've always observed the yahrzeit of my patrilineal grandfather, my father's father.
Right.
But
Right.
my matrilineal, my mother's father, I never really, what? How are you correcting me?
maternal.
I said maternal, yeah.
Paternal.
Oh, patrilineal, okay, paternal. I am, I'm telling you, I'm giving a share. You're taking over. No. And so my paternal, my maternal grandfather, my mother's father, I've never really observed. In fact, I hardly really knew when it was until my cousin, right before tonight, sent me a picture of the tombstone of the kever, and on it says Zion El. And I just want to mention the name of my maternal grandfather, Elias Rosenberg, Eliyahu ben Harav Moshe. It says Harav Moshe. So who knows if I might actually be named after my maternal grandfather. I don't know. I don't really have anyone to verify. But
You
if
don't know. You don't know who you're named after?
I have no idea. I
Your great grandmother.
great grandma
Yeah, and your great grandma Elka.
Elka,
When you were
Baba.
born, you had both sets of grandparents alive.
Uh, no,
You didn't know
no. My grandfather. It turns out this is what I want to tell you. He was born in 1889 and Nifter in 1947. So, so I could not have been. Yeah, okay. So I was not named there. But what's interesting in terms of the world of Google, I figured I'm going to look up Elias Rosenberg and someone born in 1889 and Nifter in 1947. And sure enough, I came up with someone who is uh, a person who is a professor in dermatology, chief and professor emeritus. Anyway, my grandfather, as far as I know, was into fabrics. And I even know the word leader manufacturing, Leder manufacturing. Anyway, he was one of the founders of the Young Israel of the Lower East Side. They lived on Pulaski Street, and he was heartbroken because he lost his Ben Yochid on the D-Day Normandy invasion. He never,
Right.
they
Right.
tried, they withheld the information to him for a long time until finally someone in the community wished him condolences, and that was the beginning of the end. Anyway,
Live.
today is the art site Zion Elul, besides my grandfather, Rabbi Reuven Margolius, the Margolius Ayom,
Oh, Goliath. Going. Going Adir.
and that's right. It's interesting, that
Your grandfather was Eliyahu ben Moshe. You could have been named after that great grandfather Moshe.
okay.
And your father's
Yeah, I'm just saying, Ben Moshe.
great grandfather Elka.
Okay, Elkanah, Moshe Elkanah. Okay, Ann is figuring out how I got my name. Anyway, we also have the Aaron Schechter from Chaim Berlin. It's his yahrzeit today.
Oh,
With
wow.
Aaron, and also with Aryeh Leib ben Eli Lapion, the son of Rebellia Lapion,
Mhm.
the Leib Eliyahu.
Mhm.
But instead of going into all the yard sites, I find that I am not saying my Avas Chesed, including footnotes. And there is a beautiful, beautiful footnote that I'm going to start to share with the end. In other words, what I would normally, if I had time, end, and I know I will not have the time because there's so much to read Avas Chesed. We will do the Tehillim right now, and then I'm going to go directly to the last footnote of today's shir of Avos Chesed, and we are on Kuf Tes, and I think we'll see what you have to say. Share sound,
Sonny,
go
Sonny.
to the media player, share. Here we go. Hey, you know who that is.
Billy.
על גבי חרשו חורשים, העריכו למעניתם. אדוני צדיק קיצץ עבות רשעים, יבושו ויסוגו החור כל שונאי ציון. יהיו כחציר גדול שקדמת שלף יבש, שלא מילא כפו קוצר וחצנו מעמר, ולא אמרו העוברים ברכת אדוני עליכם, ברכנו אתכם בשם אדוני.
Achenu, Kol Beis
Kol Beis
Yisrael.
Yisrael, Achenu, Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanisunim Batzara, Batzara Uvashivya, Hoimdim Vein Bayam Uvein Bayabosha. Amokim Yirachem Aleim Yoitziim Mitzara, Le'eracha, ומאפל לירה, ומסיבו לגאולה עשתה, בגולה, ובזמן קריב.
Rabat Sararunim in Urai. On Chutch, the first word of today, Chutch. Although, at least, even though, on Chutch, Hagfil Soris Gelitten, suffered. That's another good word. Chutch, although, at least, or even though we have suffered much. Rabat Sararuni min Urai, Gelitten, we suffered. Gam lo yachluli, doch zenen zaymich nicht beigekommen. Beigekommen means to get the better of me. How do you like that? To beigekommen. Le'osid lavo, velen die Jiden, loiben Hashem Yisborach, as unsere Söhnen haben uns nicht gekannt beigekommen. They couldn't get the better of us. And that's my Yiddish for today. And I want to thank you, Big Yishakach, for your Winkel. You're back into the saddle. I could see that you are contributing every day. And I noticed...
Not every day, but I try.
Okay.
But there was a beautiful, beautiful medrash. I never heard that medrash before.
Yeah, Medrash, that's right. Medrash Iker. Anyway, before I promised the kahal that I was going to start with the Hagah. You're already you're at the Mokom.
Yep, I have to sign off. It's
You're
late already.
The Balagan, Gan Saka. So anyway, you should have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Chaim
Tovim, Shkoyach.
Tovim.
Next time we meet, it will be 10 days.
Okay.
Right?
That's right. What's going on? What's going on? What's happening the next 10 days?
In 10 days, you're leaving.
No, I said 19 days. 19 days. until
19
1/9.
minus, but that's till you're back at the Kaisel. When are you leaving? 17 days?
No, yeah, right. 18th day. It's Motzoi Shabbos, and I'm going to be at the Kaisel Monday morning.
So
I
you're
arrive
leaving,
Sunday.
so you're leaving 2 days before the 19th.
No, not 2 days before, 19 days from today. 19 September 9th. September, what day, Ann? Ann, what day is
So-
the beginning?
So September 6th.
September 6th, the Sunday night.
9th?
You'll be there September 6th at night. You're coming to the coastal Monday morning, the 7th.
I'll be at the Kaisel Monday morning of the 7th, which is Labor Day. September 7th.
Now this, and the 7th is how many days from now? 19
19
days?
days, 19 days.
So you're leaving in
Um,
17 days.
Correct. That's true. That is true.
So therefore tomorrow will be only 16 days.
You're correct. That's true.
Okay.
Dominion.
Anyway,
Okay, so
we're good. The
we're
math.
trying
We're going
trying
to.
to squeeze, we're squeezing it down.
Okay, Mirz Hashem. I feel I'm there already. You have to say, you are my umbilical cord. You realize that you are my umbilical cord, my connection.
You are my umbilical cord.
That's a good. All right, which chord is that? An A minor or a C minor? Anyway, a guten Tag,
A guten Tag, a gute Nacht, a gute Nacht. Go to.
Go to. Okay, now as I said, I really want to start the Haggadah at the end is talking about the pasuk in Dvorim, Perek Yud, pasuk Yud Beis, Loleches b'chol drachav, imitatio Dei, to follow HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all his ways. And here's the footnote, which I find fascinating. V'agav, ava'er shlosha psukim sheish be'inyan zeh. The Chofetz Chaim says that there are 3 psukim that deal with imitatio Dei, how to follow, how chesed, by doing chesed, you are able to be close to Kadosh Baruch Hu, by doing chesed. Shetzrichim havana, and you need to understand. Hinei b'tchilas parshas Ekev, in the beginning of Parshas Ekev, ksiv dvorim perek chef pasuk vav v'shomarta es mitzvahs Hashem Elokecha l'leches b'drachav u'liyira asav. You should watch, observe, be careful of the mitzvahs Hashem Elokecha, to go in his ways and to fear him. Hinei Kasuv halicha b'drachav kodem yira. Here we see that going in Hashem's ways is before fear of Hashem. Ubechamishi, when it comes to the parsha, the 5th aliyah, ksiv dvorim yud beis v'ato yisrael ma Hashem elkecha shoel mimcha ki im yiras Hashem elkecha l'leches b'chol drachav u'la'ahav oso. So we see Shinta HaTorah lichtov halicha b'drachav achar yira. Here we see you going in Hashem's ways after it says yira, b'kodem avo. Ubashvi, and in the 7th parsha it says Dvarim Yud Aleph Chut Beis ki im shamar tishmeru mitzkol mitzvah zos la'avos Hashem elkechem l'leches b'chol drachav l'dovka bo. Hare, the ksiva halicha b'drachav achar ha'ava. Here we see the halicha going after the ava of a kodem atvekus. V'nira the yesh shalosh madregos b'avodas Hashem. There are 3 levels. Avodas Hashem, this is the Chofetz Chaim. Echad hayira. The first level of Avodas Hashem is awe, fear of Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Yiras Shamayim. Ulamala mizeh, higher than Yiras Hashem is Avas Hashem. And the second madrega. Ulamala mizeh, the highest madrega, Hadvekus, highest madrega is Hadvekus Hashem, to cleave, to be attached, indelibly attached to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'achiluk bein ahava l'dveikus. What's the difference between ahava and, what would you say? You know what dveikus is? To be attached to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And what's the an ahava is to love Hashem? What would be the difference between ahava and dveikus?
I think Dveikus is more intense. Even more.
Very good.
More
Very good. So this is the Chofetz Chaim says The ava nikra afilu kishemis ora belibo ava Hashem leprokim. Ava is when you have a feelings of love, different times, not all the time, but at different times, not as intense. Masha enkein dveikus mikre im ahava tkua belibo tamid. But dveikus, to be attached to Kadosh Baruch Hu, is when it's in your heart all the time. As we know, that's one of the mitzvahs tmidios. Nidbak nafshem Hashem, and that's you become literally attached to Hashem. Kain kosav Ramban, as the Ramban says, "V'atar yavo hakol al nachom be'ezras Hashem." The Torah melamdo she'adam ein zocher l'shum madrega ad sheyargil nafsho b'tchila leches b'darchei tuvo shel Kadosh Baruch Hu lios rachum v'chanum v'gomel chesed. The first level of the avodas Hashem is to have milos chasadim, is to be compassionate and great, and to do good deeds to your fellow man. In order to get the level of yira, first you have to have gemilas chasadim. You can't be a yira shamayim unless you do good to your fellow man. Once you've achieved Yiras Hashem, lo yachshav b'nafsho ata roi li rak lizmonin kol meichaya b'inyanei yira b'romas Hashem. That all I should do is indulge in exalting in Hashem and being Yiras Hashem. L'lamda toroso hakdosha lo listakel kla b'inyanei tovos ulosi lezeh. Don't look at your ego existence. Lezeh bo hakasav amar b'parsha Hachamishi, V'ato Yisrael Yiras Hashem Elokecha L'Lechas B'Kol Druchav Le'avos L'Horos Da'af Mi Shezocha Yiras Hashem. Even if you reach the level of Yiras Hashem, Tzorich La'alos L'Madrega Yosef Gavoa Mizeh, you still have to yearn and strive to go to the higher level of Hainu Ava, which is loving Hashem. Umistama Ha'isha Hu Nivdam Inyan Olam. Person who is infatuated with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who loves Hashem, is already above, ascetic, is above the worldly matters. Afal pikein lo yiskel madrega ava ad shikayim ata al kain gam kain leches b'chol bracha. Even if you get to that high level of loving Hashem, you still have to be involved in gemilas chesed in order to reach that high level. The hainu lios rachum v'gomel chesed kilbarash Rashi b'sof ekev ayin shom u'lekach hikdim halicha b'drachav kodem ha'ava, and that's why always halichas drachim halachta b'drachav was always before ava. U'bezeh nicha gam kein mashalo kasva Torah. Leches, it doesn't say velo leches bevav ha'isa. Rak leches mishum the bevav having mashma koil yira shelafaneha. That a person, in order to have yira, you have to go in Hashem's ways. Having mashma the achar yidiyah yira lahasi midrigazu be'emezeh eina ela lo zacha adam lahasi yiras Hashem kli nida tovazu lekach kosav leleches b'kol drachav v'avos el horos dal yidei zeh. Shisnahi gam ata b'midas tuvo yisborach yizkel l'bsof gam le'ava. First, you have to go in His ways, and then you achieve ahava. Achakach, since still not the highest level. But Parsha Shvi Hosiv Akosov Od Non Lemor. The Af Misha Zochel Madrega Ava Bavada Isha Hu Nivdal Minoni El Megamri. Again, you're on a higher level, closer to Shamayim. Lo Yachshav Menashav Atavad Roy Lig Rak Lisboni B'Torah Dul Hashem Tomid Kadesha Eska Leo Tovik Hashem B'Tmidas Shazeo Bemasikar Al Kain Any Sorich Lavalos Man Klal Staka B'Inyan Tovas. I could only get involved in Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, highly matters, have nothing to do with humankind. Lezeh Ba'akas V'Amar Ki Im Shomor Tishmu La'avos Hashem L'Kechem L'Lechas B'Chol Rokav Dovakbo L'Horas Da'af Lizkos L'Hasig Madrega Hazvekas Hashem. Oh, the person, in order to achieve the highest level of being attached to Hashem, so Gam Ken Shizchakes O B'Mila Tova Azu Shalicha B'Drachav Hainu lios rachum v'gom al chesed, zchusei yazrenu Hashem, v'yischase dimo, v'zakos lios dovik b'Hashem b'tzmius. Kakofas v'leches, v'lokas v'leches. In other words, it's intrinsic in the whole idea of Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem, is l'leches v'drochav. Kedei l'horas, de'en koi alav shilov rak al dazov kabo shekosav v'achar b'zeh nicha od madam iskila ikev kasiv l'leches v'drochav b'parshas chamishi b'chol drochav l'hodas l'hasik avol dvekas tzorich yischazik adam lech b'chol shlosha esrei miras davka. In order to reach these high levels, you have to, and we have to imitate a Kodesh Baruch Hu and all of the Yud Gimel midos of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, the 13 attributes. That is the footnote which I consider very, very important, and I think we'll start off with Rav Aaron Schechter, the yahrzeit today, Zion Elul, and also, of course, my grandfather Eliyahu ben Rav Moshe. Ara Moshe ben Yosef Schechter, נולד ב-1928 ונפטר ב-2023. נולד בברוקלין, למד בישיבת חיים ברלין. בן 20 היה כבר ראש מספתא, והיה עסוק עם הפלג הירושלמי. היה ראש ישיבות של חיים ברלין, וחבר מועצת גדולי תורה, מחבר מעבודת הארון. Okay, today is also the yahrzeit of Aryeh Leib ben Eliyahu, Leib Eliyahu Lapyon, שנולד ב-1908 ונפטר ב-1979, נולד בקלם, למד בישיבת אור ישראל סלובודקה, אחר כך בטלס, ב-1929 עבר ללונדון ולמד בישיבת עץ תחתון, אוקיי, ב-1938 בגייטסד, ב-1948 כל האברכים, רב Eliezer Dessler. He learned with Rav Dessler. He was Rosh Hashanah Yeshivas Beis Yosef Gateshead, ב-1952 Rosh Yeshivas Gateshead, and was Mechaber Noas Aryeh. And finally, the yahrzeit, no, not finally, we do have to do the Margulies Hayom, is Sasi ben Chushvei Cohen, Nolad Niftar ב-1971, Nolad בג'רובה, תוניס, ב-1955 עולה לארץ ישראל בצפת, למד בבייס מדרש שם ועבר, ששם היה בייס מדרש שם ועבר, ומחבר פרוחס המסך מדרשו שלו. אוקיי, עכשיו, לגיליון של היום, רב ראובן מרגוליוס בן משה נולד בלבוב, ב-1889 ונפטר בתל אביב, ביום זין אלול שזה היום ב-1971. היה בן למשפחה חסידי, נתייחם באביו שהיה סוחר ותלמיד חכם, מובהק בגיל 14 ועזר ללמוד בנצחר עד גיל 17. I have to skip and I'll talk about יצירתו הספרותית ניתן לחלק לשלוש סוגים. He was prolific in his his authorship. The Margolis Hayom, which is of course what he's known for, Mechuna, Al Masechta Sanhedrin, then the Kav Bashamayim, which is the Gematria Mea Mishnayim, B'Somim, Al Shas, Nefesh Chaya, Al Orachayim, Yisod HaMishnah, Barichoso, Lachkor, Shemos, V'Kinuim B'Talmud, Mechkor Medarchei HaTalmud, HaMikra V'Masora. Those are on the Talmud V'Halacha. The second madrega, second type of sifrut is Kabbalah v'Chasidus, Chiber Shariz Zohar, Malchei Elyon, Tikunei Zohar, Zohar Chodesh, Nitzusei Zohar. V'Sof, Toldot Anshe Shem, Hilul Siki, Reb Chaim Vitar, Avram ben Avram, Od. He had 20,000 nisbachim. So really, the Margolis Hayom preceded Shmayahu, and so he wrote 20,000 description, Nispachim, on Gedolei Yisrael, just the yard side. So we have a lot of work to get to catch up with him. Anyway, we want to get to the main text as much as we can before we get cut off. We are in Design El when Atan of our air. We're back to the Avos Chesed, to the main text. We started with the footnote at the end. Eza mitzvahs aseh ragil avor mishu ish keli. A person's a keli means kilei is a person who's miserly. Umarchik atzmo midas chesed. Overall, yidei zeh masha kos b'Torah v'alachta b'rochav shehi mitzvahs aseh koleles. We talked about to go in his ways and shenestav b'zeh leilach mimirosas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem kulam rak l'tov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's meters are only for good. K'ma'amaram zal, as says in Shabbos, Masechta Shabbos, Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Ma'u rachum, just as he is merciful, afato rachum. Ma'u chanun, just as he is gracious, afato chanun. Kiyotzi b'zeh. B'shar midas hatovos, the commotion mefurish b'Rambam, b'Sefer, mitzvahs ches. It's written B'chelik Dvorim and Dvorim Sech and Chumash Dvorim. You have 5 different places where the Relechet Tzorach is mentioned in different ways. Kanal B'Hagdoma Zeh Shemonei Atzmo Melehita V'Rehu. A person who refrains from helping his fellow man B'lishum Siba without any reason. Hamakavis has no excuse. Over mitzvah say zusha zires Hashem Yisbarach Alel become kos b'torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu orders us to obey in many places. Now, second days over od masha kos b'torah mamram yuchad le'inyan chesed. There's a special pasuk that commands us to do chesed. Ru masha kos b'torah b'parshas Yisro. V'hodat olem es haderech yelchu bo. And Hashem let you know the way that you should go. V'amru Chazal, and brought down Bava Basra, Bava Kama, Daf Kuf, Amid Aleph, and Bava Messiah, Daf Lamed, Amid Beis. Es Haderech, Zu Gemil Chasodim, Ubir Midachsiv, Stam Es Haderech Behei HaYidiyah, Haderech, Lo Bir Zer Derech, Mistama Hi Derech Al Gvusha. It's the trodden path. Asher Derech Ba Avinu Rishon, talking about Avram Avinu, who Shahaya David Kol Yomov, I'm talking about Dvekas, but Midas HaChesed, he personified loving kindness, Ki Yadua, but Mamar Zeh Kol Inyan HaChesed, Yesh Bein Ish L'Reu, Vaf Kmilos Chesed Sh'Adam Oseh, Begufa, B'Kagon, Bikar Cholim, K'vos Mesim, B'Haigav L'K'isa Sham, B'Gemora, V'Al Kol Ponim Kmilos Chesed Sh'B'Momon, Gam Kin L'Nafik Klal Zeh. Okay, Gimel. If the person who is borrowing is financially unstable, before he collapses and goes bankrupt, you give him, strengthen him, you fortify him. And he could do that, but he refrains from doing it. Over Od Masha Kasav Torah, the pasuk Vayikra Chof Hey Lamed Hey. If you're a poor person waxing poor, he's about to fall. Exactabo Moto Yadom Imach Exact Dabo Ger V'Toshav Chayimach, and he should live with you. You should support him so he could sustain himself with you. In Emar Chayachicha Imach. Shenistavenu b'mitzvos hazeh lahachzik biyad achinu shemach, a person who becomes poor, litain lo matana. Here we're running out of time. Let me flag this. Okay. Oh, Havai should give him as a gift or a loan, or lasus imo shutfus, or you make him a partner. Find work for him, below Yipol, so that he will not fall, and he will not be dependent on his fellow man. If a person has the ability to help him, he doesn't do it, over mitzvazu. Again, these are all different different prohibitions, different commandments for him to help, and he refrains from doing it. And Daled al Kulam, overall mitzvahs are same. First, there's a specific pasuk that talks about loans. Who masha kosov Torah im kesef talva es ami es ani imach. Kibul Chazal, the high im ain't rishus alachova. The im is not really if, it's really an obligation. You must. We commanded to give loans to our brothers when they're in dire need. It says that you shall surely lend to him. Why does it say im? It's talking about the end of the pasuk of the lo tzia lo kenosha should not be like a creditor. Udavka shemalva Yisrael. Of course, when you lend to a Yisrael lo lekanani, the common parak aleph and the siv chesed, siv katam beprote adinim sheish b'zeh yivur the common prokim aboim im yirtzah Hashem. Okay. Okay. Hare. Shechashavnu kama v'kama lavin b'essen sheragil avor mishu ish keli, a person who is miserly. Umarchi lasim emilas achez. Avshekol alavin masin ein ragil avo b'inyan echad k'mavor l'mayim. Avol became misha who ragil chas v'sholem b'mida razu. If a person doesn't have loving kindness, v'hemshech zman yavo, he will eventually be miserly to everything. Okay, and Hashomer nafsho yishmor et nasma b'mida razu. God, person should be elch b'darchei Hashem. Person should avoid being miserly and should come close to the ways of Hashem. Shehu tova meitav. Hashem is good and does good. Because the footnote that we had at the end, which I read, avur zeh. By the way, we're going to finish the pticha right now, the סיום. Zeh tavo lo brocha me'es Hashem yisborach v'kum bo ma she'amar kosov imu tzadik ki tov ki pri maleim yochaleu. Say of the righteous that it shall be all good with him, for they shall eat the fruits of their doing, of their labor. V'atav naschil be'ezra Hashem levar mitzvahs aseh sh'alavo b'chol yinyan prata. So Chavetz Chaim says now he will, in the next chapter, which we will continue, we will start with the mitzvahs of Havah in all of its pratim. So now I can go back. There were little footnotes until we get the end of the shir, until the shir ends. We're going to go to the beginning. Let's see where, first page, it had a footnote and an aleph, and actually Vav. And it talks, so Shehi mitzvahs aseh kolelis. Shehi. Shezeh lashon sefer mitzvahs mitzvah ches. Sivana li damaslo, we commanded to be like a Kadosh Baruch Hu Yisala Kavi Yicholas, according to our needs, our ability. V'alachta b'dracha, we should go in his ways. Kvar nikbal zeh hatzivoy v'amar leleches b'chol drachav. Also, there's another pasuk that says in Dvarim to go in his ways. Uva b'perusho ma Kadosh Baruch Hu nikra chanun afata hayachanun ma Kadosh Baruch Hu nikra rachum afata hayirachum. Kvar nichbal lezeh inyam lashon acher v'amar achrei Hashem telechu. Uva b'perusho Sheretzono lomar hadomas b'fulosav atov. Okay, let's continue with the footnotes until we get Tez Zion. Here we go. Ches, where it says the Inyan Hava. By the way, this is the main text and the footnotes that they have little letters, and this is the Netiva Chesed, which the Chavetz Chaim brings the Makoros. And the Inyan Hava Begufa. Mahu shekasu b'Torah and kesef talva. Who Sefer HaMitzvahs Mitzvahs Kuf Zayin Zayin B'chol Protei Adinim Sheish B'zeh Be'efen Ofen Hu Mechuyev L'Lev also Kama Mechuyev Yivur Hakol Mirza Hashem. Chavetz Chaim says how much you have to do to loan. It will be described later on in the Sefer Avos Chesed. And the footnote test, it says L'Havos La'achenu Be'eis Dakim, in the time of dire need. What is that? Klana B'zeh Gama Asher, even a rich person, you can do chesed. Kishizdocha, when he is in a time of need. So how could a rich person be in a time of need? Leflamen, Leizin Gamkein, Mitzvah Levoso, Kliyisa and Choshem Mishpat, Simon, Sadik Zayin, Sadik Vav, Sadik Zayin, Vetan Lekaman Perik Aleph, Vayin Lekaman, the Siv, Usher Be'ez Hu, what does this Gamitzvah say? Gemura, Kamo, Loni, V'chein, Mashma Gamkein, B'Sefer Achinuch, Shazel Lashon Achinuch, B'Mitzvah Tough Ayin Test. Lasso staka because of od ata b'ni al tachshov she'ini mitzvah staka lo yarak ba'ani she'ein lo lechem v'simla ki af ba'ashirin hagdolim gam kein tiskayim mitzvah staka famim kigona usher she'u b'makom she'ein makirin. So how does he need money? There's a place where he doesn't have any money. He goes in a foreign place with tzorich livos and he has to borrow money. Vafilu ba'asher she'u be'oda be'iron, even if an usher is in your own city, b'makom makirin, and they know him. Perhaps, God forbid, he's sick. He has a falling of his the economy, and you can help him. Williams and Meno near Shesorach Lamamono, but Mokom Zeh, Gamzeh B'chlal Mitzvah Tzedakah, who helping an usher is also. Even though you know he's going to repay you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers giving even an usher as if you're giving him Gemilas Chesed, Ki HaTorah, Tibchar Le'olam, Gemilas Chasadim, V'yitzvah Hasan L'Hashlim, Ritzon HaNivroim, B'gem L'Kos, Shesagim Ayin Shom. Okay, I think I've done all the footnotes, and we still are broadcasting. I wish everyone Chaim Tovim, Yom Tov L'Kulam. And we were Messiah, the Psicha, and tomorrow we can begin the actual parak on Halvos. Yom Tov L'Kulam.